What's up, guys? Today I'm going to do the vtec killer setup, and I'll break it down step by step to the best of my abilities. That way I can help you guys who don't have a true vtec K-series and then turn it into something that's what we call a vtec killer, which rides on the vtec lobe all the time. So first things first, let's hope that the hardest part of the job goes smoothly. Got the air compressor, it pumped up, and I got the air gun ready to go. So first things first, we're gonna take off this crank pulley. That wasn't too bad. Air compressor for the win. All right, so we got that off. Wasn't too hard. We got the crank pulley. Just wiggle it. Some people I've seen have to pry it. I did not. There's a woodruff key, so you want to just be careful. And I set myself up with a very fancy tablecloth. I think this is going to help organize everything. I recommend, like, if you're going to tear down a motor like this, I mean, I'm not doing it too crazy, just like the top end, but you still want to have some kind of organization so you don't lose stuff. So now that I got that off, I'm going to flip the motor. And while I, don't have the top end apart, I'm going to reseal this oil pan, because as you've seen previously, I actually took off the oil pan to inspect it. So I'm going to reseal this so that when I do put some oil in here, because I gotta lube the cams, I don't want any kind of oil to leak. So I'm gonna do that right now. All right, so as you can see, there's RTV all around there, all around the pan. So go ahead, razor blade all this off, clean it up nice, and then I will put back the pan. Actually, I think I need to keep the pan off to get this cover off. Poop. But I'll clean it anyways. I ain't gonna lie, I just spent I don't know how long cleaning the RTV off the oil pan. It was necessary, but I got it clean. So now I'm going to take off the valve cover. All right, next I'm gonna do the timing cover. There's 12 bolts all the way around, and then the VTC solenoid. And you got the cover here, but it doesn't have to come off just yet. All right, so now I got the timing cover off, and I want to set the motor to top dead center. So I'm going to turn it counterclockwise until the timing marks match. I tried turning it. I realized I have tape covering exhaust and intake. It was causing too much pressure, made it really hard to turn. So, all right, here we go. Turn it over till we get these lines to match. So we got these two cross hatches are matching. Let's take it off the stand. Check where we are here. A little bit right there. All right, just double checking timing here. So we got these two lines matched up, and we got the arrows pointing up and down. So that's TDC. So right now I'm going to remove the timing tensioner, Jesus, and I'm going to start working on getting the chain off, and after that we'll work on getting the cams off. I just ordered one from AutoZone and it'll be here tomorrow, but let's get to it. All right, so next I got this little area lined up with a thumbtack in. Hopefully it works. Everyone says a thumbtack fits, so hopefully that works. Let's see. It's kind of hard with the one hand. All right, I'm just gonna loosen that and take it off. All right, so according to the directions, it says to loosen the rocker arm adjusting screws. So if you ever did a valve adjustment, it is these on each part of the rocker. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen these. I don't know if it's necessary, but I'm gonna do it because it says it. All right, so next step is to follow the holder bolt loosening sequence. I don't know how good you guys can see that, but that is it. I will try to put a screenshot in there that way you can see it, but here it goes. Alright, so yesterday I left off, I loosened up all the bolts for the cam cap, and then my GoPro died. So now I will be removing them, removing the cams, cam gears, and then the bottom assembly for the roller rockers. Some kind of order like that. So let's get. Alright, so that's one. And I just want to, they're all marked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's really kind of hard to mix things up. Well, I elected to impact this off camera. Some people say not to impact it. I decided to impact it because I don't have any other choice. I think people say either way. I don't really, it's not a big deal to me. I think it's gonna be just fine. So I'm gonna do the same thing on here. I think that's a 14. All right, I got the 14 on the exhaust side. And I'm just gonna zap. It's a 24 wrench to hold the cam, by the way. And I got the cam gears. I don't think I will impact them back on. That would be silly. All right, I'm gonna get these cam gears off. Look how easy. I thought it was gonna be tough. So that's the intake cam gear. And the exhaust. Same thing, real easy. Cool. So these cams are now done zipped. Put them off to the side here. So next, from my experience, is that these that are attached to the head are super difficult to get off. At the junkyard, I did not have anything to do it, but after looking online, it looks like if I just get a piece of cloth or something and a pry bar, they should come off. So I'm gonna get my cloth and pry bar and see how that works. All right, so this is kind of nerve-wracking. I got a ginormous pry bar and a t-shirt. It is coming up. All right, kind of at a loss as far as pry bars go. I have a 1/4 inch extension, kind of fits in there. Oh no, it marred it just a bit. See if I can work it on the other sides. There is better ways to doing this, folks. That is a fact. All right, so I have it pretty much off, but I just want to explain how to get it off. So there's like a place here you'll be able to pry, here, here, and also here. So what you want to do is just kind of pry them up in each corner and then just wiggle it, wiggle it, wiggle it. And it took a little bit more work for me because I don't have a proper pry bar, something I do need to get. When you're doing this vtec killer setup, don't worry about the springs and stuff popping out of the roller rockers. They're not going to be reused because we are going with a complete set of exhaust rockers from the K24Z3 that look like this, and that's going to be on all 8 intake and exhaust, or 4 intake and exhaust, whatever you want to say. So let's get this whole assembly off. I need to clear some space on this organized mess, and we will start explaining and talking a little bit more about why we have to use those exact K24Z3 rockers. All right, so I had these soaking in gasoline for like a day and a half just to cut any kind of grime, and then I just put some degreaser, like some dish detergent, whatever, and just ran it through there, and I'm letting it air dry. So now I'll kind of just talk about why we're using these. So on the K24s and K20A3, it's not true VTEC. So in order to get it, we're gonna run one lobe on the exhaust side, and with K20A2 Type S cams. The killer in this is we're no longer have to have VTEC engage, but we're going to be riding on that high lobe the entire time. These rockers don't require any kind of grinding. They fit perfectly, and once we have the cams installed, you'll see it does clear these. Some people use the exhaust rockers from other non-VTEC engines, and you have to grind them. So I think it's like Accord EX from like 2011 and up. I'm not exactly sure on those years. And the TSX, second gen TSX, uses the K24Z3. And you could find these, I would say, pretty easy at the junkyard. I ended up having 4 that I got with the motor. They didn't charge me for whatever reason. And then another set of these were $7 each. So it came out to like 20 something. Just to get this in the oil has been a super tedious process. I started off soaking it in gas for a day and a half, like I mentioned. It still had some grit. Then I went down to some soap and some detergent. That cleaned it up pretty good. Let it air dry for a good while. Then I took some brake clean, just sprayed around the rollers, turned them, let that air dry, checked them, verified they were dry, and now I have them sitting in 5W20. And as you can see, let's see if we can capture some bubbles. There we go, some bubbles there. And that's just the oil filling up all these air gaps. So it's super important if you get these from the junkyard or whatever. In my case, they did get some grit in them. And in most cases, you know, I would say you wouldn't, as long as the motor was taken care of and you put them, you know, in a bag or something. But unfortunately, I didn't. So learn from my mistakes, but also it doesn't hurt to be overly cautious in cleaning them and oil them and all that good stuff. So I'm gonna let this sit for a good while. Once these I feel are, you know, good to go, we'll start working on assembling them. So the rockers are pretty much nice and soaked. In the time that, you know, it'll take to do this, I think I'll end up taking it off. So I'm gonna take these apart. Like I said, they are labeled. And we're not worried about these or the springs because we're using all new rockers, and they don't even have the springs like the VTEC side does. So just take off each holder. I'll just place it over here. Put all the assembly elsewhere, not like I'm gonna need it. As uniform as I can. Alright, so we have all the old stuff over here. Probably put it somewhere else. And then I'm just going to clean off all this and then start sliding everything on. Alright, so I think the easiest way to go about this is to put the number 1 holder and just put some oil on it. Place for the number 5 cam rocker arm plate. So put a little RTV there. And the RTV I'm not using Honda Bond, I'm using Ultra Gray Permatex RTV. It's basically the same. I don't need to be spending extra money on something like that when I don't need to. I think we're just, oh, there we go. So we have it on. I think I'm just going to tap these in and I'll start torquing everything down. So the next part of the vtec killer setup is these 0204 Type S cams, intake and exhaust. I got these off eBay without the cam gear, so I'm just gonna have to use the ones I took off. And basically what these do is give you that 3rd lobe, and this is the one we'll be riding on the whole time. You can use 0405 TSX cams on stock valve train, but from what I've read and seen, the 0608 is just too big and you might run into issues with the valve springs. So either your best bet is use some Type S's, or go ahead and upgrade the entire valve train along with some bigger cams, and that'll probably give you the most benefit. But for this setup, I think it's going to work perfect, and it's going to give us the gains that we're looking for. Alright, so I got the cam gears on. The intake cam is 83 foot-pounds. The exhaust is 51 foot-pounds, and these end plates here, they're torqued down to 29 foot-pounds, and there's oil in the lens. So now I'm ready to put the caps on. Everything's lubed. I put oil all around it. That's very important when you're putting this together, is to make sure everything's properly lubed. So I'm gonna put the caps on now. All right, so now I'm just gonna go, I'm gonna time lapse it. I'm going to tighten it in the order right here. I'll provide a screenshot, and here's the torque spec, and I also provide a screenshot, that way you guys can see that. But I'm going to tighten them with the electric impact just so they're snug, and after that I'll do the torque sequence, and actually I'll follow the sequence still in the order, snug it, and then torque it, and then that'll be it. Alright, so as you saw, everything was torqued in sequence. These two I didn't do because I don't know how I'm supposed to fit the chain with the guide there. So I'm not too worried about that. I torqued it and then I just double checked everything towards the end. So I think now that the top end is done, I'm going to I'm probably gonna sit this to top dead center. I do want to spin it a couple times. I'm gonna put more oil on here and just make sure that we have, you know, nothing's hitting the rockers I just put in. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. All right, so I'm just about to put the timing chain on. I have the timing marks lined up on top. Down low, I have the cams locked in. I do not want to touch them because they're real finicky. So now I'm going to slip the chain on and hope it goes well. This is stressful. All right, so on the chain, there's gonna be 2 sets of black links, and you wanna match the middle of these links to these dots up top. Next, I'm gonna put the tensioner on. We already verified the timing marks. We'll put this on. This isn't anything fancy. I got this from AutoZone. It's a Duralast tensioner. Hopefully it does exactly what we need it to without breaking. All right, so the tensioner bolts are 8.7 foot-pounds. I got as close as I could. So now, I think we pull the pin. The tension's set. And we'll just push this out. And I think now, we can turn the motor over and make sure everything's in time. Holy crap. All right, so now I'm going to apply the RTV along the timing cover. I'll probably just show you a screenshot. That way you have an accurate idea of how it's supposed to go. So I'm gonna just go ahead and apply it. So I've got the timing cover on. The bolts aren't tight yet, but I just want to point out that these 2 thicker ones, see how this kind of bulges out? They go specifically on the bottom here. Other than that, they're all the same. And then the VTC bolt is real long like this. So just keep that in mind when you put it back together. All right, so next, got the oil pan. Pop it up here. Got 2 studs that'll line it up. All right, now I go ahead and put all the bolts in. Alright, so it's been a couple days. The RTV has now dried, and now I'm going to go ahead and adjust all the valves. I'm not going to show you how to do this because I actually have another video that explains how to adjust the valves. I'm going to put it somewhere up here. So if you want to know how to do that, I have the video for it. I'm going to just do it on my own time and pretty much finish up the job. Alright guys, so valve cover is on. Everything's adjusted. So it's pretty much done here. So just to recap this entire thing that we did, we got K20A2 cams, K24 Z3 rockers. The whole point of this is to get vtec pretty much all the time, which is called the vtec killer setup. New tensioner, the chain was good, and everything was adjusted and cleaned, and gaskets were replaced. Timing cover gasket, valve cover gasket, spark plug seals, RTV all across the board, everything good to go. So with that being said, if you guys have any questions about this setup, you could either hit me up on Instagram, egchris92, or put it in the comments. I think the next step I got to do on this block is to clean it, and I want to paint it just like I did on the EG. It's pretty much clean, but there's just some little areas that need to be finished. Same thing with the transmission. So I think next video will be, you know, a little bit, I'll clean it on my own, but as far as painting and everything, I'll probably paint it and mate it. Yeah, I know that rhymed. Because I do have the clutch kit now. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Until next time, it's egchris92. Like, comment, subscribe. Hit me up on Instagram, EG Chris. Later.